Radio message of the Holy Father Paul VI for the Immigration Day, Sunday, November 24th, 1963. The Charity of the Church has established a special day, which this year will be Sunday, 1st of December, the beginning of Advent, for emigrants. Emigration, from one country to another or within the territory of the same country, constitutes today one of the most important and serious phenomena in the life of the world. The Church, attentive and solicitous towards the problems of humanity, has not been indifferent to the problem of emigration. During and especially after the war, when this phenomenon occurred in its most painful and disorderly form of the transmigration of refugees, it did not delay in taking an interest with every means at its disposal, that of charitable assistance, that of diplomatic interventions, that of doctrinal clarifications, to temper the hardships and disorders of violent or forced emigration, or emigration without guidance and help. The Holy See, especially through the voice of Pope Pius XII of venerated memory, has spoken many times on this complex and painful question, and with regard in particular to the religious and pastoral aspects of emigration, it has issued an apostolic constitution now well known, entitled Exsul Familia. More recently, our predecessor, Pope John XXIII of happy memory, has rather observed the phenomenon of spontaneous emigration, and has clearly confirmed the right that men have in themselves to choose their home and to seek, even outside their normal residences, work and well-being, thus recognizing emigration as a legitimate, fundamental title. The maternal eye of the Church has then looked further, namely to the consequences that derive from emigration, consequences that, in their first manifestations, are sometimes full of difficulties, hardships, worries, dangers for those who emigrate, full of sufferings of every kind, and no less dangers for those who remain in their usual homes, deprived of their relatives who have left for foreign and distant places. Consequences still full of disturbances and inconvenience for those in whose regions the extensive emigration takes place. These movements of populations, made easy and rapid by modern means of communication, have every kind of impact on our society, and if one is positive, the economic one, many others are, at least at the beginning of the immigration phenomenon, negative, especially with regard to the souls of the emigrants, torn from their environments, and not yet organically and spiritually absorbed into the environments in which they have arrived. We look in particular at what the emigrants suffer in these movements. They suffer a spiritual and moral trauma, which disturbs every interior judgment, and while aspirations of every kind insinuate themselves into their souls, among which one is good and worthy, that of a better condition of life, an easy confusion of ideas is produced, in which the principles on which the honesty, normality, and humanity of their psychology were founded are shaken. How many emigrants thus lose all religious habits? How many feel aversion and resentment towards society, in which they do not yet have an orderly and satisfactory place? And how many are upset in their own family affections by the sadness of the conditions in which they find themselves, and by the rise of disordered passions? Immigration causes religious and moral crises so serious and so widespread, and occurs with such suffering and such painful consequences, that the pastoral ministry of the Church cannot ignore it, and the more the emigration phenomenon is accentuated and exacerbated in these years, the more the concern of the diocesan clergy, of the religious, and of the Catholic laity must intervene and show a timely and multiple capacity to bring comfort and assistance to the emigrants equal to the need, today increased and urgent. Therefore we also raise our voice imploring for a new development of religious and welfare action in favor of emigrants. It hopes to find a hearing for the love of our Lord Jesus Christ, who in emigrants is suffering, is a pilgrim, is in need, with our brother bishops, with the parish priests, with the many Catholic institutions of charity and assistance, with Catholic action and the associations operating under the guidance of the Church. We know that the civil authorities and many charitable organizations are wisely interested in this pressing problem. May our encouragement reach them too through the work of such great human and Christian value. And to all who will accept this exhortation of ours, but especially to the emigrants, the immigrants and their families. May our apostolic blessing go with every good wish.